Steve Mnuchin, I think, outside the Waldorf. So very good to have you, Steve. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. It's great to be here with you.
Have you seen any traction given Donald Trump's improving poll numbers in one battleground state after another, as well as nationally, with money that's coming into the campaign?
I mean, I think it's just been an incredibly exciting few weeks, both in terms of online donations as well as kind of our traditional fundraisers. But this is really about the economic plan. And today, you know, we couldn't be more excited about what's his second major economic speech, going through a plan that's going to create 25 million jobs for Americans. Going through, we'll be releasing the details on the website. We'll have the tax plan modeled by the Tax Foundation. This plan pays for itself. Donald Trump has a plan to get to 3.5% of 4% growth. At 3.5%, the plan pays for itself, and at 4%, we pay down debt. And we couldn't be more excited about the announcement and the details on this.
All right, now part of getting down to the numbers down so this wouldn't be a multi-trillion-dollar hit was to try to maybe raise that top rate beyond what Mr. Trump proposed at the outset, from 25%, now 33%, still substantially below the 39.6% prevailing rate. But is it going to move again? In other words, some people are reading into this, well, wait a minute, he rejiggered this to raise a rate, and then he might do it again. What do you think?
No, he didn't rejigger this at all. So, I mean, there was a tax plan that came out in the primary. We acknowledged that the tax plan cost too much money. When we did the Detroit speech, we came out with new personal tax rates. We came out with a new business tax rate. We said there'd be another speech that goes through the details. This is the same plan we announced in Detroit, but now we're announcing all the details. We're announcing the tax brackets. We're announcing the details of the business tax. We're having it modeled by the Tax Foundation. We're going through the job numbers. This is merely a refinement of the Detroit speech and the plan that Donald Trump is going to put forth as president.
Real quickly, as a successful businessman in your own right, are you comfortable with the prospect of a potential trade war that critics say a Donald Trump could unleash if he starts slapping 35% tariffs or taxes on, in this case, the Ford vehicles made abroad?
Well, we're definitely not going to have trade wars under a Trump administration. And I heard with your previous guest talking about Donald Trump not being for free trade. Let me be clear. Donald Trump is for free and fair trade. And the only thing he's saying is that America needs to stand up for itself in these trade agreements. So if there are trade agreements and Mexico or China are not honoring them, we're going to enforce the trade agreements. This is not about creating a trade war. This is clearly about fair trade and protecting America's interests and America's jobs.
All right, so, but you'd be happy with a 35% tax on those American companies that leave to make their product cheaper abroad?
Again, we're not going to have a 35% tax. What we're going to have is a 15%
well,
corporate tax.
He just said 35% if Ford goes through with this when those cars come back.
No, what he said was, to the extent that foreign countries don't honor our agreements and we don't have fair agreements,
no, he was talking about Ford. What he would do to Ford.
He
was talking about Ford. What he did to Ford, and it did that.
Again, let me be clear. What he was talking about was that if there are incentives that Ford and others don't need to leave, okay? And we will put tariffs to enforce fair trade. This is all about fair trade. This is the most incredible tax plan and economic plan since Reagan, and this is about putting America back to work.
All right, we'll watch closely. Steve, thanks for taking the time. Steve Mnuchin, the finance chair of Team Trump. All right.